What is going on, New York Giant fans? Welcome back to another video. Hit the like button, comment, and subscribe. Turn on post notifications so you know when a live stream pops or a video drops. Appreciate y'all coming back. Share this out, do all the good stuff. Join our Patreon, $2.99 a month. A lot of scouting reports, sports articles, and more coming on there. And, if you want to, you could join up the YouTube membership. I'm trying to link up the YouTube membership. That way you could access the Patreon, but again, that's a couple of things I have to do. But with that going on, I'm going to go into a video here. By the way, $20 off with the promo code Big Blue in the Bronx on SeatGeek. So, going to go into a subject that a lot of people have been talking about, and now Daniel Jeremiah has sort of maximized the conversation, for lack of better words, and that is trading up for a quarterback. And the title of the video is The New York Giants Should Trade Up for a Quarterback in this year's draft, because I think they should, and I think it's necessary. Now, I'm going to go into why it's necessary. I'm going to go into past trades, the projected packages, and also a little thing at the end that a lot of fans have concerns about, and maybe the team does as well. So, let's get right into it. The New York Giants are sitting at pick number 6 right now. As of right now, also, they have a couple of teams in front of them that are looking for quarterbacks. Now, to be completely fair, we don't know if they're going to take quarterbacks, all those 3 teams that we are discussing. The Chicago Bears, the Commanders, and the New England Patriots. One of those teams could take Marvin Harrison Jr., one of those teams could take Brock Bowers. Who the hell knows? It really takes one pick to fuck up an entire draft. That's how I see it. Now, of course, let's just say... Actually, let's go back to the point. The Giants didn't lose enough games to be within that top 3. And it's very possible that those 3 go 1, 2, 3. Or 1, and then maybe it's Daniels, and then it's Drake May. And also as well, it's very much possible that those teams could maybe not select a quarterback, either trade back with a team that wants a quarterback, like the Raiders, like the Broncos, like the Vikings, or you have, let's just say, a scenario where Marvin Harrison either goes 1 overall, or they trade back to 2, take Harrison, they let Williams go to the Commanders, and a team jumps up and trades with the Arizona Cardinals, or if he falls that far, a particular quarterback, the Los Angeles Chargers, they want this many picks, a team gives it to them, and they jump the Giants for a quarterback. That's why, in my opinion, it's so imperative that the New York Giants trade up for a quarterback. And those are like the 3 most talented guys in terms of ceiling, in terms of traits, in terms of tools, all that different stuff. I believe it for the most part. I definitely believe there's concerns with these quarterbacks. I haven't watched Drake May yet. I've watched Jaden Daniels for a little bit. I've seen games from Caleb Williams. Particularly, they were actually his worst games. USC against Washington was okay, but Notre Dame, when he went up against my favorite college, he didn't do particularly well. It was probably his worst game of the college football season, but you do realize that there's traits there, and why he could go number 1 overall and stuff like that. But those 3, again, projected to go within the top 5, if not the top 3, 4, whatever. Now, here's the thing as well. There are quarterbacks, I know a lot of people have their eyes set on these quarterbacks because of the quote-unquote unrealistic situation that the Giants do trade up for a quarterback. They are set on 3 guys. Michael Penix, who I'm a fan of, J.J. McCarthy, who I'm learning to like, and Bo Nix, who I can't really get on the train because he's an older quarterback. I feel like there was, 1 year at Oregon, and then pretty much the rest of his college career is, I think he is what he is. Personally, me, that's going to be for another video or something along the lines, but I'm not going to go big into it. But those guys, the problem with it is you don't know how the draft is going to play out. Those guys could fall to the second. Those guys could possibly stay within the teens. You never know. A team in the teens like Denver, the Raiders, the Vikings, they could pick Penix or a McCarthy. McCarthy is shooting up boards. Apparently, Daniel Jeremiah said he's an acquired taste. Bo Nix could be in that realm. He could be in the 20s. There could be a team that trades back up into the first round and selects one of these guys. Hell, the Seahawks, right? They're in the teens. They hired the offensive coordinator from Washington to coordinate their offense, and that smells like they want Michael Penix. Now, it is a little strange because they did restructure the contract of Geno Smith. Again, I don't know how those negotiations and the structure went, but that's for not me to focus on. So let's get into the value of these picks, projected packages, what went on in the past and whatnot. So this was Daniel Jeremiah, what he thinks, based on sources around the league, what it's going to cost to trade up to number 3 with the New England Patriots. Again, they look like a quarterback-needy team, but they just need offense in general, other than probably offensive tackle, though they could use it because Michael Onwenu is a projected free agent. So he thinks that 2 second-round picks from this year, which the Giants have, and a second next year, in addition to the 6th pick going up to 3, is what it will take. And personally, me, I would take that because, again, there's a lot of value that goes into these picks, and this is going up to get your guy. A lot of people may disagree with teams and how they get their quarterbacks and what quarterbacks they take, but if you're getting your guy, the guy you think is going to lead your franchise to a Super Bowl, you have to go get that guy. I hear it tossed around a lot. The Giants, back in 2004, I hear this a lot, they traded up all these picks that turned out to be Sean Merriman and all these other different guys to get Eli Manning because he didn't want to be it's now Los Angeles, but he didn't want to be a San Diego Charger. Again, they wanted him and said, that's, the guy we want if he wants out of San Diego. And guess what? The Giants sent a bunch of picks San Diego's way. They had their own players, but the Giants got 2 Super Bowls out of it. So at the end of the day, the long-term vision is what different teams like the Giants, if they wanted to trade up, are focusing on. They're not talking about, the short term and this, that, and the other thing. No. That's not what this is about. You don't trade up to 1 to go get a position player not named quarterback. Quarterback is the most important position in football, and the Giants need one. So yes, I would go from 6 to 3 with that trade package. I'm going to get to something in a little bit which kind of pertains to that argument. So, according to the charts, the first pick has a 3,000 value. The 6th pick has 1,600. So, you'd probably need to make up not 1,600, but 1,400 in terms of value. Now, again, this would be for the first overall pick, not the 3rd, not the 2nd, and not the 4th, not the 5th either. So, again, we know what the first pick entails. 3,000, 1,600 is the 16th pick. So, 16th pick. 6th pick. So, 1,400 to make that up. You throw in a second-round pick, 510. If you want to throw in another second-round pick, which would be the Giants' 47th overall, I think that was from Seattle, you could do that. That puts 430 down. And also a third-round pick, which would be somewhere in the 70s, which would go to 78, and then a first next year, which would be high value, though it's unprojected, and then 3rd next year, which is unprojected, and then throw in a player. Now, I think it's very unlikely that the New York Giants end up trading up to 1. I think they could trade up with some of these other teams, not the Bears, because it's going to be a heaven and earth movement. It's going to take a lot to go up to 1. I don't think the Giants, in Joe Shane's mind, want to waste all these assets, whether it's called wasting or using, whatever. I know the Mike Tannenbaum thing came out. That's not really a good projection package. Now, I will go into this. This is another possible trade that I've seen. Fireside Giants took it from somebody else. I feel like they didn't create it first, but if they did, credit to them. The Giants get 1st overall. Bears get 6th overall. The Bears get our 2nd-round pick, a 1st and 25, a 3rd and 25, and Darius Slayton. Now, I've seen Darius Slayton in multiple trade packages. While he's a decent, viable asset for us, I don't think teams are going to bang on the door for Darius Slayton to be included in a trade. Now, I would take this package 110%. I don't think it's realistic enough. Take a look at this package, which the Bears got for the number 1 overall pick, the Bryce Young trade and all that. So the Panthers got Bryce Young. The Bears, they got DJ Moore, a first-round pick, which was the 9th. That's where the Panthers came from. The 61st overall pick in 23's draft, a first-round pick in 24, number 1 overall, and a 2025 second-round pick. Now, honestly, if you go off the logistics of that trade, I would pull that off, right? A second-round pick, a first-round pick, and another batch, first and second, for the following year. Well, 2025 second, you don't even have to throw in your second based off that logic for 2024. Well, you could do that 2 years in advance is what I'm trying to say, based off, again, the trade for Bryce Young. The problem is throwing in the type of player. What type of player would they want? What do they say is a need for them? Edge could be something. I know I've seen Kayvon in multiple mocks in terms of trades. I don't know that I'd be willing to give him up 100%. Him and Thomas are like the guys that I would not be willing to give up as of right now. Everyone else, I don't really have strings attached, right? They could trade this guy or whatever, and they could even do a tag and trade if they want, but again, that's very unlikely. But it's a decent trade nonetheless. If you're talking, from the Giants' perspective, again, the player to be determined, but I would do that. I would do that to move up to number 1. The last thing I'll say is this. A lot of people, this is fans, this is not media, a lot of people, fans, content creators, are very scared to go up and trade. Whether it's for the 3rd pick, whether it's for the 1st pick, the 2nd pick, maybe trading up with Arizona. And my argument goes again to state. This is not wide receiver. This is not lineman. This is not defensive end. This is quarterback. The most important position in the NFL. In football. When a team loses, who's the most likely to get blamed? The quarterback. Who gets most paid? The quarterback. Who likely leads the team to the Super Bowl? It's not the defense, it's the quarterback. And in this league, where you need, and even this generation, not just the league, but the generation, it's all offensive. The league is ruled by Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. Those guys are the great to elite category. And, obviously, if you have issues with Lamar's choking in the playoffs or Josh Allen's turnovers, that's an argument for a separate day. But nonetheless, all of those guys were high draft picks. The team that drafted them put a lot of stock into them. Lamar Jackson, they traded up to get him. Patrick Mahomes traded up to get him. Bills traded up to get Josh Allen. The Bengals are the exception to that argument because they sucked enough to be number 1 overall. And people are talking about, well, you're going to ruin the quarterback just like you did Daniel Jones, blah, blah, blah. You know what? I disagree with that. I do. Because I feel like Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll, they didn't ruin Daniel Jones. I feel like Daniel Jones, for the most part, ruined himself when it came to the Daboll-Schoen era, except for the bad offensive line. That you have to factor in. But also, DeVito and Taylor, they played better than Daniel Jones. And this is not going to be some cut 1 year, 2 year process. It's going to be 2 to 3 years, most likely, that the Giants are rebuilding, right? And number one, I think people are throwing around draft picks like it's holy water. Oh, you gotta have the draft picks. So we gotta spend on this, and this. First of all, tell me a team that has ever fixed all of its woes in one draft. Number one. Number two, you have free agency money. Number three, there are multiple ways you can accumulate draft picks. You can tag and trade Barkley. You can tag and trade McKinney. And my problem with Joe Schoen is that he didn't trade some of those guys at the deadline. Instead, they wanted to really soar on this Tommy DeVito cater to the fans train But moving forward on that note, again, 2-3 year process. You know what's also something? A lot of people don't talk about this. Brandon Brown was the runner-up for the Chargers job. There's going to be GM openings next year. The Jets could be one. There's a lot of other positions that, actually, no, more like vacancies. Not positions, but vacancies. This team could fire their coach. This team could fire their coach. This team could fire their GM. And guess what? If Brandon Brown gets hired, he is technically under the Rooney Rule. The Giants get, I think, 2-3 draft picks in return. Would be, let's just say he gets hired in 25. They would get, I think, 2 or 1 in 25 and then 1 in 26. So, again, people are throwing these draft picks around like it's gold. It's not. It's about development too. Because the Giants could draft somebody in the second round and they turn out to be god-awful. But they could draft somebody in the 5th round and they could be a very good role player or even a stud. So, again, I think a lot of people are just throwing around these draft picks like they're gold and, cherishing them. It's like Brian Cashman hugging prospects in the past. I don't really live in that mentality. I don't live with that philosophy. I don't think that way. And I think a lot of people should, kind of think that way too. Because, again, this is not wide receiver. This is quarterback. This is the future of the franchise. And I would rather, little hint for a video in the future, I would rather take one of these guys, take a chance, than either draft a developmental guy or stay with Daniel Jones another year. But let me know in the comments, do you think the New York Giants should go ahead and trade up for a quarterback? Should they stay where they are? What do you think they should do? Let me know in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe to all the good stuff. We're trying to make our way to 1,900 subs and then eventually 2,000. Looking to host a Giants offseason stream. Details coming shortly. Peace out, guys. See you later. Stay cool.